areas that it wasn't supposed to be, and the architects and the engineers are working on resolving that. The occupancy inspection for the multipurpose room from phase 1 was completed. That's pretty much ready to go. I don't know if you guys are using it yet or not, but occupancy was granted on that. Right now, we don't have any issues outstanding. Costs, we are at, what are we here? $30,409,960 of the pay applications approved to date, and change orders at $457,152, which is right around 0.8% of the contract cost. Next slide, please. All right, that's the new multi-purpose room. That's the turfing the purpose room. The gray area at the upper left is the batter's box, and you can see the batting net up against the wall, and it slides out into the area to be used. Next slide, please. There's the batter's box area. That's inlaid into the floor. Next slide. That's a picture of the corridor on the 24th of January. Next slide, please. And there's the corridor on the 31st of January. These blocks that you see here, these large concrete blocks, are pyro block. They'll remain. It was part of the old wall system for the corridors. Next slide, please. That's when the demo started in the classrooms in Building E on 131. Next slide. There it is on 217. Like I said, most of the demolition is completed. That's the old office area. The walls have all been taken out. Black items and steel columns remain supporting the second floor, the roof. Next slide, please. It's another view of the same area where you can see the door bucks are being installed, the new door bucks for the new offices that are going in there. Next slide, please. That's the commons area on the first floor. That was broken out into what used to be the back entrance to the cafeteria corridor. That's going to be a large open area for students to use. There'll be a stairway in this area here going up into the second floor of the building. Next slide, please. That's the exterior of that same area. There you can see the doors into the cafeteria corridor and the opening of the wall. There's a whole area that gets built out into there, and a stairwell that goes up to the windows there on the second floor over the cafeteria doors. Next slide, please. That's going to be the new entrance at the end of the south end of the E wing, the old 1960s wing. That'll be for drop-off and pickup. There used to be a small classroom in there, and that'll end up being a corridor with another exit on it. Next slide, please. There's the footers in the first floor for the new bathrooms that were poured. There's now block up in there. They're starting to lay up the block walls. Next slide, please. And there's some of the excavation for the sewer inside the building. They had to trench the floor and connect to the old sewer in the corridor outside that wall. Next slide, please. That's some of the sewer piping that's being put in. It's all plastic piping now. There's your artist rendering of the new addition and the existing building. Next slide. And there's what we look like as of the 28th of February. We're getting pretty close. There's some work that needs to be done up in this area on the steel cladding for the outside. And then eventually this whole wing will have new windows in it in here. And I believe that's it. Any questions?
I have a couple questions, Gil.
Sure.
So as the project moves along, the contractors do their work, who approves the work quality that occurs?
Victor and I pretty much approve the work quality, but the architect makes regular inspections of the area. What happens is it's checked to see if it if the workmanship is done to current standards and to the specification of the architects and the engineer wrote. We check to make sure that the finishes and everything are meet what the specification calls for. So it's basically comparing what the contractors are doing to the blueprints and the specifications.
Gary, can you scroll back up to page or slide 9 and 10? So the batter's box I have a question about. And Shelley might be able to answer this. Was the athletics department, the coaches consulted about this part of the multipurpose room?
I can't answer that. I know that there were some changes made to the multi-purpose room in one of the revisions that the architects made. But
Okay.
I don't know how that all came about.
So that was a no, Shelley. The concern I would have, speaking as a baseball, softball person, there can be no pitching that occurs from that home plate, like no standard pitching that happens because it's only 40 feet from the plate to the wall. And so in that batter's box, baseball pitchers can't pitch at the correct pitching distance, and neither can softball.
I think it's a batter, just a box. It's not where they'll use a pitching machine, not a pitcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more batting.
Yeah,
And that
which is a normal.
this
normal
net
batter.
stretches out the whole width of the multi-purpose room, goes all the way to the other wall.
Yeah, it goes all the way to the other wall. It's just, you're never gonna be able to have live pitching in the cage, which is, I mean.
And
it's-
again, I can't answer that. I don't know if that was ever the intent.
I don't think that was the intent.
The other design flaw or whatever with that little square rectangle there is I can't see that our soccer coaches or those types of people would think that it's ideal to have a big surface difference in the middle of the floor that is not turf and it's rubber and you're mixing surfaces, and I think it makes it semi-unusable part of the room.
There's no difference in level, there's a difference in texture on the surface. There's no
You
level
run the
difference.
From grass to a flat, it's just, I was just wondering how that came to be, because in my opinion, it's not
I know that the turf in the batter's box was part of a revision that was done by the architects. I'd have to assume that they talked to somebody about it. I can't answer who.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else have any other questions? Thank you, Gil.
Sure, you're welcome.
Does she need her? I don't know that she needs to.
Shelley, I'm gonna let you go first, because usually you got stuff going on around campus right now, so.
So yeah, right now, tennis, JV softball going on right now, and varsity softball's at FSK. But we started spring season last Monday, and Gil, we are using the multi-purpose room since last Monday. And I haven't heard too many complaints from the softball and baseball coaches. They seem to be happy using the I think they're just happy getting in the batter's box, so it's a good thing. But winter sports recap. So I got the pleasure of watching Rock last week. Front row, so literally Rock's like right there in front of me. He lost the quarterfinal round. He was a pretty big guy. It was good. The guy was good. The guy was really good. He lost, and he went to con season and lost that round. But Rock had an incredible year. His career is 152 to 33. So he had the most wins in school history. He had 108 pins, the only wrestler in L-Town history with 100 pins. So that right there is a feat in itself. He was a 2-time sectional champion, 2025 district champion, 2025 regional runner-up, and then a 2025 state qualifier. So I don't think a lot of people know, this is Rock's first year qualifying for states. So, you know, if you haven't been there before, it's a little intimidating, but I was just happy to be able to see him in this final round, so it was good. The girls varsity basketball team, they won the YAIAA D3 Sportsmanship Award, which is great. We also had 2 basketball players, boys, make the YAA All-Star team. Peyton Boston was first team, and Zach Murray was honorable mention. Band, earned a spot in the PMEA All-State Wind Ensemble on the French horn. He will participate in the All-State Festival next month at the Kalahari Resort and Convention Center in the Poconos. I also want to put a little tidbit about the musical. I don't know if any of you guys saw the musical. It was great. It was such a fun musical, and it was so great to see how well those 4 girls did. I mean, they all did great, but it was, I don't know, probably dating myself. It was like my dad's music, so it was kind of like, it was such a great musical yesterday. So I want to plug the cast and crew did such a great job. In other news, Littlestown, we were the recipient of a free AED from the Peyton Walker Foundation. So I went to Hershey Giant Center on March 27th, where they presented the free AED before a championship game. I think it was the 5A one for the boys, to all the schools that applied. And I've never applied before, but I thought to myself, wow, we have 2 new spaces downstairs, why not? And we all got one. So it was kind of nice. So we all showed up, and they made this big heart on the court, and we all got our free AEDs. So the plan is to put it in between the multi-purpose room and the new weight room downstairs. So that was a pleasant surprise. And last but not least, we have April 7th coming up, 5 to 6 in the cafeteria for signing day. We have 5 athletes committed so far. So right now we have Isabella McCall going to Mount Aloysius College. We have Michelle Few and Katie Herr. They're both cheering at Mount St. Mary's. Emma Nunemakers at Wingate University for field hockey. And Victoria Kyle is going to DU-Ville for field hockey. Any questions?
Maybe you have any questions?
It's in Buffalo.
Oh, thank you.
It's a D2 school in Buffalo. I mean, when I first heard it, I was like, DU-Ville? I'm like, yeah. Any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Young? Hearing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Back to the top list. I'm sorry, Caroline. Oh, you're up.
So just 2 things to share today. Our homeless numbers are down a few, which is always a good thing. Families either moved out of the district or they're able to find housing, and things turned out okay for them. So we're always good for those good stories. Another thing in special education, one of the things I do is usually in February, we have students who are in the Lincoln Intermediate preschool programs. And these are students ages like 2 through 5 who need special education services. So they're either receiving OT, PT, speech, learning support, hearing, all those services. So I meet with all those families and all those students in February to talk about their needs and to talk about what kind of services that will carry over into, all the services carry over into school age, because it goes from preschool to school age, and then they carry over, so we have to make sure that we're supporting the students in those areas of need. So this year was the most students that I had these meetings for. We had 18 incoming kindergartners, and just to break it down, 7 of them are speech only. Now the rest of them, one is hearing impaired, 4 autism, 4 developmentally delayed, and 1 intellectual disability. So we have to make sure that we're supporting those students in the appropriate placements for, good education. And a lot of these students are also getting speech, OT, or PT. So there's a good number of students who we need that we're supporting for next year. That is my report.
Thank you.
That doesn't count move-ins and everybody else who didn't come yet. So,
Anybody else have any questions for Ms. Young? Doctor?
Carolyn,
Yes.
when did this program start for the 2 through 5-year-olds?
oh, long before me.
Okay, so it's been going on?
Yeah, the LIU supports this service.
And-
It's a mandated thing that.
That's great.
yeah.
And where does that reside? Is it here on campus or
Well, they have classrooms.
here?
We hold 2 preschool classrooms
Oh,
here
cool.
in the district at MAMS, and other school districts hold preschool classes also. So they're all over Adams County, Franklin County, York County.
That's
The LIU
great.
services all over.
That's a really great
Yeah.
program. I
It
thank you
is.
for sharing that.
It is.
I appreciate that, because I like to hear stuff like that,
That's good.
because I can't imagine being a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, jumping into kindergarten at 5-year-old, and being disadvantaged. It's so much better, I've always thought, because I remember Head Start back in Carroll County years ago, but it was a good program. It was a pre-K, and I made sure my daughter was in it for that very reason, because when she got into kindergarten, it changed everything. It gave her a leg up.
Right.
And I enjoy hearing stuff like that. I'm so glad you're doing that. Thank you.
Sometimes there are families just in Head Start that receive services, and then I meet with them also on different.
Oh, good, that's great.
As long as they have an IEP, I will meet with them.
And another question, do you see, when you do that, do you get to see the progress of these children as they go through, as they go up into the kindergarten, first grade? Good,
It's
good,
really nice.
good. So it is making a difference. Great. That is awesome. I love hearing stuff like that. And thank you for doing that and being a part of that, because it helps out, I'm sure, a lot of families. Thank you.
Any other questions for Carolyn? Okay, Dr. Nally.
Yes. Just one safety topic to share. February 14th was a non-student day here in the district, so Safety Officer Lorenz and I had an opportunity to go over to Fairfield to meet with other district admin personnel, but as well as State Trooper Golub on an opportunity to do some county-wide planning and emergency preparedness opportunities. So we talked a lot about districts and continuity and services and trying to work together as a county versus isolated school districts, and putting together some upcoming opportunities to train in some of our drills in more of a large-scale setting, incorporating county agencies in a drill at a school district next year, and learning from that process as a county as opposed to trying to do things in isolation. So it was a good meeting over at Fairfield, and we're looking forward to building that out in the future. From the technology standpoint, a couple items just the tech department is working on. We'll be sharing some information this week about electronic hall pass software, which is something that's not new, but would be new to Littlestown. Another way for admin and teachers to manage student activity and manage that activity that might be happening during a class period, and providing a little bit more data and structure and management to students in the hallway, even from a perspective of setting up appointments for a student. And if I'm a counselor, I want to see Johnny in the office at 1 o'clock. I can use this system. Administrators can lock down passes in a hallway for a certain situation that might have come up. The students wouldn't be permitted to sign out of the classroom in the morning. With all the different features of the software, we think it's a nice opportunity to take a look at it with the admin team. Bus software upgrade as well this week. Route Finder is our vendor that's transitioning to a new platform, so we have a data file that syncs with that software on a daily basis that we'll be working with to ensure that goes all smoothly. Recently, we were down at Maple Avenue doing some cabling in the Maple Avenue computer lab. If you've been around long enough, you probably understand that we've had a number of different floods in that part of the building, and it seems to be having an impact on some of our electrical equipment that is within the walls and some of the switches. So we're working to keep that lab going. We also installed 3 access points on the first floor as well to help with connectivity. In relation to our high school project, no update on the camera system in new Unit C for you. We're still waiting for NRG, the contractor, to ensure the installation is correct, the software is up and running, and we can actually utilize the system. That concludes my report.
Okay. Do you have any questions for Dr. Newman? Hearing none. Dr. Barron.
So just a few things this evening, and to piggyback off Shelley to start, I had the pleasure of bringing my 84-year-old mother-in-law on Friday night to the musical, which was chock full of 50s music. So she loved it, and so did I. It was great. The kids did a really nice job. So kudos to the cast, crew, the director, and his whole team. They did a really nice job. As far as the comp plan, it has been uploaded to the district website. All the related reports that go with the comp plan have also been uploaded, and the PowerPoint from the CCMP committee from March 4th is on there, along with a short survey that you can submit for feedback. And then we are prepared for our final Act 80 Day, which will happen on March 17th. We have teachers that day, but no students, so they get a nice 4-day weekend. So we're looking forward to working with curriculum, instruction, some assessment work, and the high school will be getting the SAS PDE training that the other two buildings have already received. So we're looking forward to a good day.
Thank you. And I will admit, I understand from my wife, she was with the class that went up, and the students, she's in with an autistic class, and she just said the one little boy was just dancing away and just enjoying it, so it must have been really good.
I was pleased by the number of students that I saw there Friday night. I actually mentioned that to Dr. Mitchell this morning. There were a lot of students there on Friday.
Okay. Dr. Sherbaker. I'm sorry. Oh, they just fell down the line. I'm sorry, I must have missed that one.
All right, so we're going to do a brief financial/operations update. I cover a lot of departments, so I'm just going to kind of go through some of those. The first one, transportation. So we're continually working through the RFP. I updated the finance committee on the status of that. Laura and myself and Dr. Mitchell will be reviewing that again tomorrow for our preliminary final review. Anticipation is to have that to the committee in April for full board review and approval at the April board ending session. So that's kind of taken up a lot of time in the transportation other than just normal operations. Maintenance obviously is running through with Gil on the project and all the other miscellaneous items we're working on with grants and capital projects. That keeps Victor pretty busy. Cafeteria, we have the RFP opening and review on the 19th, so next Wednesday. The committee, which has 4 members, will review the vendors that submit proposals, and we will evaluate those and have that also to the committee. Anticipation in April for review, and then the board to finally approve in April as well. Business office, we are constantly working on the budget. Most recently, I updated the finance committee where we were preliminarily with the budget. We kind of focused on some mandated costs and budget priorities that we were seeing here at the district, and we had a nice discussion about that. We will have another discussion of that in April, and anticipation is to have a presentation for the full board with their packets in the April timeframe. The last one is athletics. So athletic RFP, we've been working through that. I had a meeting with Turf Track and Court in February. We're looking to reconvene here this month to also have an official formal presentation on design, options, all ads, all that process and selection for the board, and then also the April timeframe. So April will be a big month here for the business office and finance.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Sherbaker? All right, hearing none. Let's go to the March agenda for the regular session.
Oh, yeah, sure.
At this point, I'm just going to pause for a second for Tim to make a statement.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that everyone understands there's a few things in your packets this evening. One thing that you'll find is an auditor's report related to cyber schools. This is just the first 10 pages. One of the things that we did talk about a little bit during our FP&S committee meeting was the continuing acceleration of costs for cyber charter schools across Pennsylvania. The auditor audited 5 cyber schools, and this report shares with you that many of them have increased their revenue by at least 156% over the past 3 years. So there's very good information there for you regarding that. The point of that, and the point for anyone listening, is that this would be a good opportunity to contact your legislator about cyber charter reform, because the cyber charter schools charge the same amount per student for the same service, regardless of what district they come from. So this is very inequitable for school districts across the state, and provides for these cyber charter schools an excessive amount of money that goes into their general fund. So please review that. If you have questions, I can certainly do my best to answer those or find any answers for you if you would like. I also will tell you that the solicitor's reports are currently in your folders. I did receive a message from Dave that there were no solicitor reports for the months of November and December, but everything is reported from the last solicitor's report, so you should find in your packet October, January 10th, March 6th, and I do have January 31st right here for you. That was, I found out right before the meeting that that was not included, so I will provide this to you before you leave. That's all I have.
Okay. Oh,
Can I ask, are you going to put anything on the website to help people know how to contact their state reps about charter school?
Certainly
Like,
do
even a
that.
sample thing to say or write if they want to write, or do an email?
Yeah, that's not a problem at all.
also, don't forget to turn your orange envelopes back into Carrie, or she will charge you 35 cents. Oh, thought they were 35, okay, all right. I don't see any problems with anything up there. Steve, if you want to go over your section.
I'd like to start with I, please.
Okay. What do you, what,
I-1.
okay. Go ahead, I-1. State your question, do me a favor and state your question first, and then any supporting comments after, so that whomever can start to develop an answer. So that would be the new process for everyone. We would sort of talk about this at our training, that we would like to state your question first and then any supporting conversation afterwards. Okay, so go ahead and state your question and then any supporting conversation.
The question I have is, why wasn't the PA Sunshine Act violation put in the minutes? It was called on February 10th.
Not sure I understand.
I think the one we talked about. This one was this one.
Suzanne Johnson called it Pennsylvania Sunshine Act violation.
Challenge, yeah.
Challenge.
And you're required to note that in the official minutes for the meeting.
Challenge for what?
It was a challenge during,
Mr.
when you went.
Sullivan.
This is a Sunshine Act challenge that I
Mr.
made.
Sullivan has the floor, not.
Okay. All right, well then I will clarify if I need to.
No, this is a
I,
meeting in public, not a public meeting.
yes,
So
but
that
I
means
have
you
the
don't
right.
get to- no, you
I'm,
don't
okay,
get
well,
the-
when you're done
you do not get the
speaking.
right. You do not get the right.
When
This is
you-
our
We're asking
discussion,
him-
we have the floor, these board members, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6
And when you're done interrupting me, I will
administration
finish my
have the-
sunshine challenge.
just-
I have the right to make a sunshine challenge that you have violated my rights.
Mrs. Johnson, I'm really trying to speak to Mr. Thompson here. If we
Okay,
can
well then
straighten
let me
this out-
speak on my sunshine challenge, please.
Thank you. So, one of the things that we probably do with this is ask Mr. Sullivan what it is that we want in the minutes, and then go through and make sure that we
Yeah,
feel
that should be done. All right. Mr. Sullivan, what specifically would you like in the board minutes about that?
I would just like it stated what Suzanne Johnson called a Pennsylvania Sunshine Act violation.
Okay. Mr. Yeager, do you want that in there, yes or no?
What are the details?
It was your meeting, Mr. Thompson.
It's not a board minute issue.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Mr.
That's a
Brown?
public comment issue.
No, it's not. It's a Sunshine Challenge Act challenge, and I am challenging the Sunshine Act, that you did not follow the Sunshine Act.
Carl. I was not in the room when I never heard any violation to say whether or not there was one.
You all were standing right there. I can pull the
In
video.
executive session,
Can somebody just
and
explain?
I was not in here.
I would
so
love to,
can't
Ms. Ewan.
say that
Well,
should be put in
Dwayne,
because
it's
I wasn't
Dwayne's
present.
discussion.
It's
It's
my
on
challenge.
video. When
I'm not
Carl-
talking about- I
when
just
Carl-
want you-
When Carl got up and said that we were gonna have a quick executive session for board business, or whatever he said at the time, Suzanne Johnson called out a Pennsylvania Sunshine Act violation. And Carl
There wasn't
turned
a
around
violation.
and mumbled and blew her off.
There
The
wasn't a violation?
challenge still must be noted by, per Sunshine Act, the Sunshine
We
Challenge.
have the floor, not you.
I am-
We
You are violating the
not-
Sunshine Act by interrupting me, Mr. Thompson.